Hello everyone, Brad Johnson here, and I welcome you to part 2 of the Awakening series, where in this video we're going to be talking about the self-alliance. So as we talked about in part 1, in a nutshell, was basically being able to work together with the ego, imagining the ego as a positive aspect to yourself, being able to train the ego, as it were, representing how it can encourage you, how it can help you out into your own positive integration of moving into a whole new reality. So what we're going to do here is kind of carry on from that idea, but moving more into self-alliance. So when I'm talking about the self, so we hear that a lot. We hear that a lot in metaphysical circles, we hear that in consciousness circles, spiritual circles, etc. We're looking into the idea of self-harmony. Or self-alliance, or self-empowerment. But we have these wonderful labels here, but what is it that is the self? The self is our own creation. It is what we have decided to create through this theme of life, to interact in a perspective of this degree, to share in this world of collective, conscious creation. So we are functioning as a perspective. When we look at the self, we're looking at an individual. We're looking at a person. We're looking at a being. Because they have astonished themselves to the brilliance of having their own universe interacting within a collective universe. So that would mean that if this, for example, represents us as a universe, then what we're doing is we're tying in to an even grander universe. And that these other universes, which represent other selves, are occupying the same universe. And we have all different kinds of different self-universes contained within this collective universe. So we are a universe. We are a continuum. That's who we are. That's what we represent. So all we're attempting to do is get along with the universe of the self. Get along with ourselves. So not only are we creating our own harmony, but when we look at this gigantic collective universe with all these different forms of assortments of other selves, we have a palette to play with. Other selves represent part of that palette. Now we're not here to get along with all the endless, countless types of self-universes that exist. That's just not possible. Because to be a universe, to be a continuum, represents the idea of a plethora of uniqueness. And that we always are not able to get along with all the uniquenesses of others. Every single person on this planet is unique. Every single person that exists, every being that exists, is fundamentally unique. Because that's the brilliance of fractal creation. So we're always looking at the idea of a fractal design that represents the self, that represents our uniqueness. So we are unique, just as a fractal. The fractal is always changing, it's always moving, it's always dividing itself into different patterns that make it so intricate and so beautiful. Like a snowflake, for example. That every time you're looking at a snowflake, you're looking at a different design snowflake. Not one snowflake is the same. And so we're looking into that idea here. So we have a palette. We understand that we are a self-universe contained within a collective universe, and we have so much to choose from. But much in regards to our common belief is that, well, if this is me right here, this self-universe amongst a collective universe, this person really doesn't like what I'm doing. He really doesn't like anything about me. He thinks I'm crazy, that I've gone over the edge. You know, there's no hope for me. I've gone the deep end and I'm about to drown. What can I do to make this person like me? There's nothing you can do. And that's the whole idea. That's coming back into the idea of self-alliance. We have a very large pool. We have a countless amount of self-universes contained within this collective universe, and we feel that we have this fixation that everybody has to like me. Or we may have another idea, is that nobody likes me. So it can even be, the happy medium between those two aspects as well. But again, what really gives us the idea of preventing self-alliance is that we feel that other people are in charge of our reality. That the opinions, the values, the facts, the truths, everything else that you want to say is all dictated by everything else within our reality. And that's just not the case. And this is why we get so confused. Because when we were born into the world, we did not have a user's manual. We did not have a guide to being a human being when we came out of our mother's womb, right? So that's always going to be the challenge. We think that, okay, everybody has to like me, or everybody hates me, or some people like me and some people hate me. What can I do to change that, right? There's nothing to do. There's nothing you can do to change that, right? So the ego, again, as talked about in part 1, starts creating these programs. These programs are representing thought patterns that we feel dictate our reality. Because we've put so much focus, we've put so much energy in these thoughts, in these belief systems, in these programs, that this is now our reality. We're inside a box. And that's it. You cannot deviate from that box. There's lots to explore in that box, but don't you dare go beyond it. Because that is what has been created through the idea of a completely overactive ego, an overinflated ego, as it were. Because again, it's not so much that the ego itself is responsible, because it's not. It's just doing its job as a grounding device, as a memory program, for us to function within causal-based reality. We require an ego in order to function in a reality like this, that has continuity, that has causality, that preserves experience. And this is why we exist within what's known as free will, or the law of confusion, right? So, what we are attempting to do, again, is have that type of self-alliance by harmonizing with the ego. And that starts by being able to look into our thought patterns. But what many people have come to me and saying, you know what, I just haven't had time for that. I got to work, and I have to take care of my kids, or I have to, do a lot of traveling, or I'm dealing with my family, or I got other friends that have so much demand upon my time. Okay, that's understandable. But if you already know what you have to do, does anything that represents a fixation to your lack of time prevent the idea of you expanding? No. Because you will always have a moment. You will always have something that you will be able to intricately weave into yourself. Completely understand. People have busy lives. Completely understand. But as long as you keep thinking that your justification of your lack of time is going to be the continual catalyst for this, then you are a hamster running a wheel. That's it. So you can keep saying, well, you know what, Brad, I understand what you're saying here. I get the point. Just don't have time. Just can't do it. I just don't know. And there you go. That is you back in the box. I'm not here to change your reality. I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to quote unquote fix you. This is what you've decided to stay in. Because, well, time is the belief that I have created through the overinflated ego, through the oversensitive programming that has become completely, just an infernal rush of energy, right? So because I have this roaring inferno of all these programs contained within the ego, I better follow through. I better not deviate from that. There better not be a chance for me to harmonize with that, because this is my reality. What if this happens? Or what if I trust myself, though? I don't know where I'm going. I don't have a clue about where I'm going to go if I break free from this. That's absolutely right. You won't have a clue of where you're going. And that's the beauty of reality. We need to look at the idea of reality as the ocean current. And that we're sailing this little boat. It can be any boat you want. Basically describes your own personality of how you describe yourself has a self. So this is your little boat, okay? And the currents are constantly guiding you into a land that is unseen, into an ocean that's unseen, leading into a whole new frontier, so to speak. You don't know what's lying ahead. You don't even know where the current is taking you, but you know that this journey is continuing. And these manifestations upon the ocean are representative of the reflections that you're giving yourself. You're just amongst an ocean. And throughout this ocean, as the current continues to bring you forward, you create the mirages, you create the projections, because your uncertainty creates fear. And that fear is manifesting all these things. Maybe you have a pirate ship that wants to shoot a cannonball at you, right? Whatever it may be. Or maybe you may be able to see this beautiful golden yacht in the distance, and it looks so beautiful. Whatever it may be, that's your manifestation. But there will be times where we're so afraid of the current, because we're not used to change, that we want to take the paddle and we want to backstroke. And no matter how hard we try to do, how to backstroke, how to continue to paddle, we don't move an inch. And that's the whole idea. It's not the idea that we're continuing with the current. The current is basically attempting to bring us this way, but we're putting so much resistance in preventing ourselves from being guided by the current. And this is reality. The universe is the current. It is taking you to lands unseen. It is taking you on this voyage through this deep, beautiful ocean. And that the deep, beautiful ocean is a hologram. And that anything can come up in that way based upon your current state of being. So, what can you do to allow the current to bring you into a very blissful voyage, a very blissful trip? By being completely present and aware of self-alliance. That's the key. So, let me go ahead and clear some of this off. Self-alliance is what's going to help you in not being so scared of the unknown. Now again, that's just what we've been trained to believe. If we don't know what's going to happen, fear for your life, run for your life, if you do not know what the unknown is. And that's the representation of an Armageddon. That's the representation of an apocalypse. Because all these represent, in hindsight, is change. Is the ending of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. So if we have the end here, we have the new coming together. And we are bred to fear that. We are bred to fear that we need to be responsible for ourselves. Why? Because we have many of these other particular people upon this planet who understood the game a very, very long time ago. And throughout the generations of bloodlines and throughout all these other generations of all of their kings and emperors, etc., they've known the game. We got the advantage here. We know what's going on. These people don't know what's going on. We're going to trick them. We're going to let them give their power to us. And we will become the gods among men. We will become the kings and queens and emperors. We will be the ones that will rule this world with an iron fist. But it has not turned out to be that way. Even after thousands of years of their own particular empires, empires have risen and empires have fallen. And we are now coming to the point in our reality where empires are passé, where the idea of foundations, of corporatocracy, etc., are now passé. They are starting to crumble. But they don't want to show you that they're actually crumbling. They want to make sure that everything is out in the media, that everything that's available to the public, oh no, we're still standing very, very strong. We're still a mighty empire. No, they're not. They have lost the grasp of their own empire. But in a nutshell, this is why they feel that, we cannot let the people have the power. We cannot let them be empowered through themselves. So, we are going to do everything we can to scoop up their power, to let them know that we're the best friends, that we can take care of them. They don't have to lift a finger. Life is an easy button. Just press the easy button and someone else is going to take care of something for you. And that is the trap. That is the complete opposite of self-alliance. That we are again running this wheel. Where's the easy button? Click. Come on, I can't do this. I need to find work. I need to do something. Come on, can't somebody else take care of this for me? Click. There's the easy button, right? It's about transcending the easy button. Now, when I say that to people, oh my God, you mean we got to do difficult work? We got to do challenges? There's something really, really big here that I personally have to take care of? Yes, that's the idea. As long as you feel that you are coasting and feeling that you have to give all of your power away to somebody else, you will be sabotaged over and over and over again. You will be used over and over and over again. You will be ridiculed. You will be taunted. You will be humiliated over and over and over again because you constantly give your power to something that exists outside of yourself. Something that is just a projection. Again, as we see here, this is the self-universe interacting with a collective of universes, of other self-universes. I give my particular power to self letter B here. Do I really think that they're going to take care of me? No, they can't. No matter how good of a salesman they may want to be, oh yeah, just leave everything to me. I will take care of everything for you. I will run your life. And the biggest reaction to that is BS. And that just means belief system. That's it. Get into the belief that I'm going to take care of you, that the government's going to take care of you, that these agencies are going to take care of you, that these programs are going to take care of you, and you will constantly be sabotaged again because they are not orchestrated to your unique energy. This is why every single time, throughout every single generation, throughout every millennia, throughout all empires that have come and gone, every particular person that has felt that they have had to put their power into something else has failed. Because it's not you. It's a projection. And it's representing the idea that this hologram is attempting to give you such satisfaction. It's an ultimate sales pitch. It's a sales page where you've seen everything. It's so fantastic. You click on the easy button. Okay, make it happen. And now your world falls apart. What's happening? I thought this guy was supposed to take care of me. I thought these people were supposed to take care of me. My life is in utter shambles. What's going on? Because if we're a unique snowflake that maybe has a pattern like this, right? There's other snowflakes that have completely different patterns that are not compatible with us. We don't have the ability of letting these other snowflakes take care of us because they can't. They are not our alignment. We cannot align to something else that is differently unique than us to feel that we have to be taken care of. We need it to be provided for. This is the antithesis of self-alliance. It is self-division. So now, if we're looking at the idea of two cells coming together, then we're looking to have that merging come together. We're now looking into that osmosis rather than the idea of a mitosis, right? So this is the self cell, and this is OS, other self. All of those are looking to come together, and they unify when we ally with ourselves, when we connect to our own harmony, when we realize that we are the ones responsible. So this is where reality turns itself completely upside down. Is it a frightening experience? It certainly can be. When I first awoken, it was pretty challenging. I wasn't really too afraid on an overage level. There were certain concerns that were happening, but I felt that this is who I am. And I had no doubt that I was an agent of change for myself. I needed to see change happen in my reality because where I was not in any way complementary to who I am. And that was the biggest form of illusion that I continued to live because I felt I was constantly in service to other people. Everybody else mattered. It wasn't about what I wanted. It was just that I needed to be of service to everybody else. And for all of you out there who felt that you want to give so much to yourself to other people, I know how you feel because that's exactly what I did for many, many years until this awakening. Even when I first started the awakening as well, I still thought it was about service to others. It's still about service to others. It certainly is about service to others, but that's not the only criteria. When we're looking at self-alliance, we're looking into how we can harmonize with ourselves by tuning into the heart. by being naturally intuitive. Now, intuition is a natural sense. This can be referred to as our sixth sense. Every single person on the planet has it. So it doesn't matter, what the science may say, that we're just meat suits. We have the five senses, and we just came here completely by accident. The earth shat us out completely on an evolutionary process. We don't know why, and that's it. That's just, no. That's not how it is at all. It's basically that our particular form of alliance, of how we understand ourselves, can be revealed when we ally with the heart. Again, as talked about in part 1, the logic is a great tool. It certainly helps us out. We're not dispelling logic. We're not throwing logic out the window. It certainly is helpful. It helps this particular reality, this causality effect, to be streamlined, to allow it to flow, so that we can experience events in the form of causality and continuity. So again, logic is great for that, and that certainly is where it belongs. Absolutely. But we're looking at the remaining amounts here of the 99.9999999% of reality. And that comes through feeling. If we really want to understand ourselves, we need to embrace feeling. I don't like to say need to, I don't like to say want, but that's truly how it is. It's just naturalness. It's the idea of our physics. That we have the physics of the physical, and we have the physics of the vibration, of the energy, of the feeling. And that all comes together through the heart. And that's something that modern science has not fully understood yet, because they always want to focus on the bare bones. They want to focus on the nuts and bolts of reality. And that's not wrong by any means. But it's not about trying to normalize the idea of bringing finite equations into something that's infinite, because you're just going to constantly be in the rabbit hole, falling and plummeting further and further, because these theories are not going to fly. You need to deal with infinites. As long as we deal with measure, then we're always going to have constant revision taking place. So if we have a constant measurement here, that measurement is always going to be stretching itself out. It doesn't matter how fancy you put a simple little mathematical equation. It's v to the s to the 23rd power to the 17th power minus squared, blah, 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 and all this, right? It's nice. That's a very nice variable that you've created, and that's a nice measurement. It has nothing to do with the universe. That's just perception. Perception is looking at it in a certain way to feel, okay, here's how we can measure it based on how we perceive it. But perception is as infinite as the universe itself. And so you're always going to have infinite levels, infinite angles, infinite momentums of perception. It is always going to change. That's the whole idea. People may think that the Higgs boson, the God particle, is the smallest thing in the universe. Not even close. It's only representing that because that's what we feel is perception. Again, a lot of the scientists made big deals about the atom or the subatomic particle, right? And then we get into the Higgs boson, and we get into the God particle. Oh my God, this is it. This is the God particle. No, it's not. It's just another part of how we're able to advance our perception into more of the universe. But the universe does not stop at something that's extremely tiny, or in regards to its action that it does. There's always a microcosm to macrocosm effect. So where am I going with this? That's reality. Reality is a microcosmic to macrocosmic effect, right? So we're always looking into the vastness of even that which is finite contains the infinite within. And that's where we're going through self-alliance. Knowing that no matter what situation you're in, there are an infinite amount of possibilities to how it can all go. That can represent transformation, that can represent transcendence, that is all initiated through the state of forgiveness. So you are looking to forgive the aspects of yourself to where you have felt divided. So if we're looking at all these different cells of our consciousness, we're simply looking to trigger that form of osmosis back together with that one cell. This is what's known as the amalgamation effect. Okay? So you have to ask yourself right now, what can I do to ally with myself? Because that's the key to radiating that light to assist others. That light that you create within yourself is the light that you can share with your world. And when one universe, one self-universe, is shining all this beautiful, brilliant light because they're understanding more about themselves. These other universes, oh my God, look at that guy. He's like a firecracker, right? Or she's like a firecracker. And they all start coming closer. There may be some people that want to ridicule you and want to feel that, no, what you're doing is BS, right? They're still coming close to you. They're still gravitating because the energy is so powerful, right? That light is coming together because you're understanding more of yourself. And there will be others who are starting to have some of these small rays of light coming together. Oh my goodness, what did you do? How did you do that? Well, this is what I did. And then that person takes an integration and adapts those particular forms into themselves in their own unique way. And now they're a bright shining light. They're all superluminescent, right? And of course you'll meet other universes, other self-universes, that will be just as bright as you are, or perhaps even brighter. And you'll gravitate to them. And you'll ask, oh my goodness, you're such a bright shining star. You're such a bright shining universe. What did you do? Right? And you take all of that information and you adapt it into your unique self. That is what it is to be a being. That is what it is to be a self. This is when you're in that super luminous state, nothing can go wrong. Because you're not giving your power to anybody. You see the power of yourself that radiates throughout all reality. And that's the hologram. That's what you're here to do. That's what it's all about. You come into turmoil to realize that turmoil can be transcended, that there's no such thing as turmoil. All turmoil is just an illusion in regards to what we create based upon the experiment of thinking that we are not in control, that we are not in alignment with ourselves, that we have to constantly give our power away. And that's the experiment. It's the experiment of self-disempowerment to then come back into self-empowerment. So, self-division, coming back into self-alliance. That's the whole key. So, this is something that you just have to work on in your own way, because you're going to have a unique perspective of all reality, as we all do. It's not about the idea of feeling you have to give your power away to so many people to help them out because you're not helping them. You're not even helping yourself. It all starts with you. When you allow yourself to become harmonized, you start to understand the nature of your own power, you start to reorganize your thoughts to be in alliance with yourself rather than constantly pulling you apart. This is where you become a great teacher of presence. And that's all you're doing. You're teaching presence to people. You're not teaching any forms of philosophies. You're not teaching any particular forms of fundamental mechanics that can help people to expand. You're all doing those reciprocal actions by being present, by being the superluminous self. And that everything that you share is all a product of your presence. So, you can certainly share information, you can certainly share wisdom, you can certainly share inspiration, but all of the caveat of what that's related to is your presence. You have that presence of empowerment, and that's what people look at, like your presence. When you become the example of someone who really has it together, people come to you and they say, how did you do this? What did you do? And again, there can be people that can get a big head, right? And say, oh, well, you have to do this, you have to, whatever, etc. It's all about the idea of containing that state of humility, because humility is the access of the superluminosity itself. So when you have that natural humility, when you're saying that I don't have a step A, B, C, D plan for you to exactly follow, for you to be in this self-alliance. I can tell you what's worked for me, and then you can take that aspect and reversion it into your own self. Make it unique to you and expand yourself to become superluminescent, to become a self-alliant individual. So being self-allied, self-alliance, is the key to us looking into the uniqueness of all that is with us to enrich us and to make that uniqueness possible. So this is what it is to move into that awakening, that state of advancement. So when we're looking at the idea of the awakening series, we're looking into the idea of self-alliance, coming together in terms with the self. Now when you get to that point, there's even more aspects that will move you beyond the self. And that's what we'll be talking about in part 3. Part 3 is we're looking into, first of all, aligning with the self, and then seeing how the self is just a door that opens us up into omnipresence. Okay? So that will be part 3. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this video. I wish you all a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Any other questions, please feel free to email me at info@consciousmatrix.com. Thanks again. Take care. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.